You're entering Corsi Nation.
This is Jerome Corsi today. It's Friday. It's September 5th, 2025. Thanks for joining me on CorsiNation.com. We're doing podcasts every weekday. You can follow us at Corsi Jerome with number 1, at Corsi Jerome 1. And you can follow us at on Substack at JeromeCorsiPhD.substack.com. I want to start out with a story that's on Gateway Pundit today on ActBlue. And the ActBlue investigation, I think, is picking up steam. Now, it's still focused largely on this smurfing issue. The smurfing issue is smurfing is a term that has to do with unknowing, quote, donors whose identities are stolen to funnel these small dollar donations in high volume to political candidates through platforms like ActBlue. So in other words, the FEC requires if a donation comes in to a political campaign, it has to be made by a person with a social security number, has to be identifiable. And so what the ActBlue, which is this big funnel where the Democrats say, just put money in ActBlue and then we'll sort it out. You don't actually have to contribute to any political campaign. We'll do it for you. We know where the money ought to go. That's the idea. Well, the problem is that what they do is they just steal identities and they put that money into whatever campaign they want to put it into. Now, that's right there. That's a crime. That's identity theft. But that's not the big issue. The real issue is where the money comes from. And right now you've got Representatives Brian Steele, Jim Jordan, James Comer, and they're issuing subpoenas to ActBlue lawyers as the investigation to foreign donations picks up. So I'm saying, where does ActBlue get all the money they've gotten? They've done billions of dollars of funding of Democratic campaigns. And I'm maintaining it. I think Mike McCormick's research. Mike McCormick has done excellent research on his book, An Almost Insurmountable Evil, and his previous book on the case to impeach and imprison Joe Biden. Both those books indicate that we opened up the border. Biden did with Obama when he's vice president, with Honduras, to get child sex trade money, money from organ harvesting, again, largely with children, and cocaine and fentanyl from China into the United States, and get that money into banks for money laundering. When money's in the bank with money laundering, it got taken out through ActBlue with this magic mortgage scheme. The magic mortgage scheme was one that you had someone who buys $1 million house in Palo Alto. This is what Sean Taylor documented. He was a whistleblower. He's been trying to get this story out. I think next week we'll have Sean Taylor and Mike McCormick appear on one of the podcasts and get them to talk it through. But the point is, we're seeing the money entering into the banking system through money laundering. Banks will launder money. I caught HSBC laundering money for the drug cartels in 2011. They haven't stopped. Other banks haven't stopped. I don't know whether HSBC is money laundering or not right now. I haven't investigated them. But what I am seeing is that I've got reports right here. These FinCEN, which is a division of the Treasury Department, which demands that there certain be money laundering reports filed on transactions. Well, here this is on TD Bank. This is a criminal division announcement. Let me see if I can find it here and give it to Chris so we can put it up. You can see it's real, because this is the real issue here. That's it right there. So what you've got is the Department of Justice is saying that from January 1, 2018 to April 12, 2024, 92% of the total transaction volume in TD Bank was unaccounted for. They were issuing no money laundering reports on it. So that's $18.3 trillion in transaction activity. And all they could find was 5 TD employees were transferring $670 million through TD Bank accounts between 2019 and 2023. But yet TD Bank paid $1.8 billion in penalties. Okay, now what was that money being? Where did that money come from? Where was it going? Why was TD Bank money laundering $18.3 trillion? That's a good question. I think it deserves an answer. And then we've got another release here. It's a FinCEN release. I'm going to get that one up for Chris as well so we can post this. I want you to see that this is real stuff. I mean, it's astounding. The amount of corruption today is just unbelievable to me. I just, I can't believe how many people in Congress are now millionaires, and how much we've got going on. The banks, laundering money. What's happening there? Okay, so here we go. I'm just typing it in. Okay, so here we go. I want you just to see this is real. I mean, to me, it's astounding that this is not being reported everywhere. But of course, we're not getting the mainstream media is worthless right now. It's covering, communism and the Democratic Party and anti-American activity by the Democrats. But this FinCEN report says the Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, which is FinCEN, is raising an alarm on Chinese money laundering activities networks that pose a significant threat to the U.S. financial system. FinCEN is issuing an advisory to urge financial institutions to be vigilant in detecting the use of these Chinese money laundering by Mexican-based drug cartels, including several designated as foreign terrorist organizations. Okay, so money laundering, I'm going to read a quotation here from Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, John Hurley. It says, money laundering networks linked to individual passport holders for the People's Republic of China enable cartels to poison Americans with fentanyl, conduct human trafficking, and wreak havoc among communities across our nation. The United States will not stand by and allow nefarious actors. This is August 25th, 2025. So under the Biden administration, when Honduras opened up the border, you've got these huge networks of money laundering with Chinese coming in to launder illicit proceeds and getting it into the banks. Now, this is the kind of proof we need to say that, the money getting into ActBlue could well be arising from these activities. We don't have proof of it. We don't have the ability to investigate what FinCEN does, but FinCEN and the Department of Treasury knows that they're guilty in this process, and they know the CIA is guilty, and nobody will investigate it. Okay, and then I try to write an article on it, and they say, well, Dr. Corsi, you can't prove this. Well, wait a minute. Okay, why is the federal government not investigating this? I mean, hello, Tulsi Gabbard, wide open border, children coming across the border, child sex trade. I mean, everybody asleep down there in Washington. What's going on? And the Biden administration opening up the border. I mean, with the Sinaloa drug cartel. There's Michael McCormick's book. He documents it all. He was there. Okay, and the president of Honduras going to prison for cocaine smuggling in the United States. He's in federal prison in the United States. Okay, no one wants to connect these dots because it means the CIA, again, was involved in the drug business and the child sex trade. It means we are the biggest child sex and organ harvesting operation in the world. Second none to communist Chinese Falun Gong, our organ harvesting. Okay, so, the amount of insane crimes and darkness being waged on worldwide is astounding. It's appalling. And it's frightening. This should not be going on. And I'm trying to report it. I have had an article on I've been on Nino's show. I've been now on Stephen Gardner's show. I want to do others. I'm going to make a major campaign on this ActBlue because this ActBlue is clearly at the heart of the Democratic Party's corruption. And the Democratic Party, which had become a communist party, there's no doubt it was a communist party, it's now become a treasonous party. It's become a criminal party. And if they want to engage in child sex trade and our organ harvesting, they become satanic. I mean, it's an evil party. And why do we tolerate it? Americans know that in supporting the Democratic Party, you're supporting Marxism. Look at New York State, running for mayor. We have a communist who is running for mayor, Muslim communist. And that's just exactly what we need. It's insane to me how this is going on. Okay, but again, there are reports and credible reports that the New York election situation may quickly change because there are reports that, in fact, a deal is going to be made and the current mayor is going to drop out for a Trump job, and that's going to put Cuomo more in contention. Well, I think there has to be some organization. If the Muslim wins in New York State is going to go the way of Chicago, and New York City is going to go the way of Chicago. We're going to have a massive outflow of businesses. The city gets more and more dangerous every day, and it's insane that the Democrats are doing this. That they're so we got Zohran Mandami. Okay, I mean, so Eric Adams may drop out of the race. He may get a Trump position to promote Cuomo, and this Mandami is making all kinds of offers of what he's going to do and all the giveaway he's going to get, and not really discussing what his real agenda is. Okay, so Mandami doesn't want to talk about himself being a Muslim communist. All right. This is insanity. It's just insanity. And this is the current state of the union. Donald Trump, I think, is really, now taking some strong steps. Let's point out a couple that I see developing. Number one is Donald Trump is making moves to get the National Guard and federal troops ready to go not only into Washington, D.C., but Chicago. And next he'll think about San Francisco or L.A. Okay, because again, these cities that Democrats are running are lawless. This week, Donald Trump had our military blow up a Venezuelan drug running boat. Of course, the liberals, their heads exploded. Oh, no, you can't blow up a boat of drugs coming into the United States. Why not? That's criminal activity. We don't need those drugs coming into the United States. And yesterday it was announced there was a huge capture of, I guess, meth. I'm sure what it was. Chris, why don't you come on? You've got the story here with Jeanine Pirro, and let's talk about that, because it was announced that there was a massive drug bust in the oceans, that something like 18 six-wheelers would be. Let's get the story exactly right, Chris.
Okay, let's pull that up here. What winds up that's what was it? Jeanine Pirro says Trump's cartel crackdown intercepted what was big enough to fill 24 18-wheelers. A lot of this has to do with the recent interceptions that were coming to the Everglades port in Fort Lauderdale. That was, I believe that was last week. It was a huge interception. There was a big spread. I wonder if I can find that, but there was a big spread of all sorts of drugs. They confiscated everything, and that's a big one. And recently, there was the bombing of the Venezuelan drug cartel cargo ship. Trump's making bold moves, and the Democrats, again, because they're programmed for Orange Man bad, are saying this is a horrible thing.
Yeah, 1,300 barrels of methamphetamine precursors shipped from Shanghai, bound for Mexico, intercepted.
Another one.
Yeah, I mean, and so we intercepted in the high seas, and Pirro told Jesse Waters that we brought these 1,300 barrels, enough to fill 24 18-wheelers, into the port of Houston. Now, unfortunately, every day there are millions of dollars made by these cartels. Okay, and so Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, has formally designated major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, giving law enforcement new tools to target these organizations' financial networks and disrupt supply chains. Okay, now they're going to find out the CIA's in the middle of this. You can't do this much drug trafficking and not have it tracked by the CIA or the NSA or the Treasury. And the money has to come into the banking system somehow or other, and the banking system is involved. I mean, when I investigated HSBC in 2011, and they were paid $1.9 billion in a fine for money laundering drug cartel money. It's been going on 2011. That's, 14 years. Well, it's been going on since before World War II with the OSS. And the amount of drug running involvement by the U.S. government and now the child sex trade, which the U.S. government is also running. I mean, we've got a satanic government at this point. That's why I say take the entire federal bureaucracy, which is operating in an anti-American criminal way, not supporting. They're not elected officials. I mean, this is a Galilean nightmare where the bureaucrats are in charge. Ship them all out to Death Valley, give them all the Quonset huts they want, and all the wind and solar and every other bad idea they can come up with, give them all the cocaine and all the drugs they want, and just let them be out there. Most will quit. And that's the only way you can get rid of half of these civil service employees. But again, Trump signed this Halt Fentanyl Act, which is sweeping legislation that designates all fentanyl analogs as Schedule I substances under federal law. The law dramatically increases penalties for trafficking and gives law enforcement broader authority to prosecute dealers and traffickers. Okay, so Trump has long pressed Canada, Mexico, and China to curb fentanyl flows. Okay, get the military involved. In other words, okay, cartels want to operate in the United States, making money on it. Fine. We're going to have another invasion of Mexico. Send the military down there and clean out the cartels. Arrest them, prosecute them, go to war against them. Cartels are heavily armed. Fine, fight it out. But it's time to duke it out with the cartels. It's time to duke it out with the Democrats. Time to get rid of all these people. These are evil corruptions in our society that need to be exterminated. You're not going to tolerate. The Democratic Party is now reduced to supporting mother rapers, father rapers, baby rapers, Venezuelan gang members who deal drugs, MS-13 criminals in the country who are committed to crime and killing. The Democrats love abortion. The Democrats want to do sex changes on children who have not yet reached the age of puberty. The Democrats want to put wind and solar, so we have destroy the modern industrial state, and ship our jobs overseas. Now, there's not a single idea the Democrats have that's worth supporting, and we find out this morning more is coming out now that we're finding out that the Planned Parenthood is collapsing. Can't collapse fast enough to please me, but this big beautiful bill essentially stated that the federal government is going to defund. The Democrats are all up about 200 health centers. Yeah, well, 200 health centers is, Planned Parenthood dying, which you can't die fast enough. It's just an abortion clinic. Okay, but they're going to say, oh, no, these are clinic closures. What kinds of clinics? From January 2022 to May 2025, 66 Planned Parenthood locations closed in the United States. In February 2025, the New York Times reported that Planned Parenthood healthcare operation has shrunk from a high of 5 million patients across 900 clinics in the 1990s to 2.1 million patients in 600 clinics today. That's 600 too many. 600 too many. Okay, and what we need is a determined effort to shut them all down. Okay, and so, but they're saying that breast examinations are down and cancer screenings and pap smears. We're not serving women's health. Yeah, well, that's all nonsense. Women do not need to go to Planned Parenthood's 500 or 600 abortion clinics to get their health taken care of. Plenty of opportunities in the traditional health system for women to get all the pap smears, all the breast exams, and everything else that they need. These are kill baby centers. That's what they are, and they need to be closed. But I like the idea of Trump moving increasingly to, if we have to, utilize the military to get control of this country again. And here we are spending money like crazy. We're continuing to have trillions of dollars in deficits, $38 trillion in national debt, and it debases the money. So, the bombshell reports here are that the Democrats need to come under investigation for massive support of criminal activity to make money to undermine our democracy. And the Democrats are now a treasonous party that needs to be under criminal investigation with the potential of charges of treason coming forward, which are capital crimes. That includes the intent to destroy elections with these massive mail-in ballot schemes that we know that every one of our state board of elections have these embedded cryptographic schemes which allow the creation of millions of false votes. We cover these issues on God's Five Stones. Chris, please show God's Five Stones. I want everybody to be aware of what we're doing to cover these issues. We revised God's Five Stones, G-O-D, no apostrophe in the S, F-I-V-E, you spell out the word, and Stones, S-T-O-N-E-S, godsfivestones.com. We're now covering ActBlue corruption. We're covering Obama's coup d'etat and what's going to happen there. We're going to get any indictments or not. Child and sex exploitation. We're going into those issues to make sure that the world is aware of how evil this has become. And it's spiritual warfare. We're continuing to feature Greg Lund's book, Silicon Satan. Okay, and these are topics that I think are critical to us moving out of this dark era into the light, which we need to return to. Now, I'm going to cover a couple stories again with regards to the economy. There's an article on right now on Zero Hedge. It's really from globalresearch.ca, and it's Professor Ruel, R-U-E-L, Pepa, P-E-P-A. So the Shanghai Cooperation Organization had this meeting in China, and what you saw is really the development again of a multipolar world, not bipolar, multipolar. Because you've got China, Russia, India, and Central Asia. Now they're uniting to produce their own system, both the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS nations, which is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa originally, but it's expanded to include OPEC nations in the Middle East. It's expanding rapidly to cover a large section of the developing world economies. And as the United States imposes sanctions on Russia and etc., isolating ourselves more from this third world, you're going to find that in the next 50 years, China, Russia, and India are going to become major forces. The number of people, the resources that they have, and we are completely neglecting Latin America. I continue to focus on this tragedy that this port Copia Port E, deepwater port in Chile, which is owned by an insurance company that my friend Todd Callender owns. It may go to China, and China may have not only the Panama Canal, but it might have also two of the very major resources, links in all throughout South America. So if China has all the ports on the Pacific side of South America under its control, we've missed out on a major opportunity because we're asleep at the wheel. Where's Marco Rubio on this one? Where's President Trump on this one? If we're going to have global security, it's going to have to be hemisphere wide. And that's something that's just not happening right now. So the symbolism of this meeting was remarkable because this meeting occurred in China with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the BRICS, because they're basically saying that they want an equal partnership, an equal role, and a multipolar role in shaping the future world economy. Now, for those who don't think this is important, are not paying attention, because again, this week, gold went over $3,500 an ounce. Gold today is at $3,599 an ounce. I'm telling you, it's going to be very close to $4,000 by the end of the year. Silver is at $41.42. You're all missing a big opportunity if you don't realize the importance of getting some precious metals. And I'm begging you to call Swiss America on our website. We have made it easy. Okay, Chris will show you at the very top of CorsiNation.com. Go to gold. You can see right away there's the Swiss America materials and offerings. You have that Walking Liberty $50 offer, which you can get up to 250 of those coins at virtually what they're worth in silver right now. It's a lost leader for Swiss America. Just fill out that form and start talking to Swiss America. You get a self-directed IRA if you've got retirement money, so you can put some of it in gold and silver. These are critical decisions you have to make now. You can get a copy of this free book, How the Coming Global Crash Will Create an Historic Gold Rush, and call 1-800-519-6268. 1-800-519-6268. Get your free copy of that book. Write this number down, 1-800. I'm going to read it one more time here for you. 1-800. Just put it's a toll-free number, 1-800-519-6268. 519-6268. Okay, I want to cover a couple more stories before we wrap up for the week. I think that this entire nature of what's going on in third world with India, China, and Russia is going to be a major story for the next 50 years. Now, Israel is finally telling Hamas an ultimatum once again: either release all the hostages and surrender, or Gaza City is going to be leveled. Okay, so Israel's now going to just level Gaza and blow up the tunnels and destroy Hamas, because you cannot allow the Palestinians to return to the Gaza. Hamas will just come back in. You've now got Iran at least on the defensive, with its nuclear facilities blown up, and its economy now entering into duress with sanctions, because you don't have Biden in there or Obama in there allowing Iran to develop nuclear weapons and to make money from oil. Instead, Trump has leveled the facilities, even the deep earth facilities that Iran was using to enrich uranium. Iran was on the verge of having nuclear weapons, which it would have used against Israel. I've been saying that since I wrote Atomic Iran in 2006. But again, I think we're seeing both in Hamas and the destruction of Hamas, and also Zelensky hasn't realized it yet, but he's lost the war. And if Europe wants to continue this war, it's, I think, a slow death that Zelensky and Europe are going to suffer. But I think the EU is on the verge of this. In 2026, I think we're going to see the collapse of the EU and Europe. and it could be a global collapse, which I'm warning everybody will not be pleasant. And so therefore, I think it's time right now to take prudent measures. We can't afford to buy gold, work with Swiss America, and buy some silver. It's much cheaper, $41 an ounce. It's affordable. Get some. 1-800. I've given you the number of times. Do it one more time, because I think it's so critical that you begin to take this seriously. 1-800-519-6268. Gold has broken the $3,500 mark, and it's headed very quickly to $3,600, and from there it'll continue climbing right up to $4,000 an ounce. $4,000 an ounce will mean that since a year ago, since 2024, gold will have gone double in price, double, while the United States is continuing to print money and the Federal Reserve is refusing to lower interest rates. Hopefully, the Federal Reserve will lower interest rates now. And the world economy, I think, is in disarray, just as the United States government is in disarray. And it's going to take Trump a lot of time yet to put it back into shape. And the Pentagon is now exploring the possibility of leasing sections of the Marine Corps Camp Pendleton in California to commercial customers and using the proceeds to bankroll the Golden Dome. Trump is beginning to think about creating conditions. I want an infrastructure bank created privately, I want it privately created. I'm going to start advancing this idea and getting it done, because I think we can raise capital and we can do projects like this port if we just raise the capital to do it, and have insurance company issued guarantees on the initial capital investment made. I've got a formula for this, and we're going to start pursuing it. At any rate, I end the week very positive on what Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump is addressing these issues. He's fighting in the courts. I believe he will win on the tariff issue. The judges who are opposing him, I think, are being exposed for what they are. The Democratic Party is now showing its true colors, its true treasonous, satanic colors. And the American people, I think, are going to reject the Democratic Party. I suspect half of all the Democrats in Congress could lose in 2026 if we have fair elections. I think Donald Trump will issue an executive order demanding voter ID and proof of citizenship to vote. He's going to go to paper ballots. He's going to eliminate, by a national security executive order, an emergency declaration under the Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief, that these have to be the rules by which the states are going to conduct the elections, the presidential elections in 2026. And the president has the authority to do that, because the states may administer, under the Constitution, the federal election for president, but they have to do it in accordance with federal rules. They can't be creating their own rules, which is what they did in 2020 to steal an election. Okay, this Donald Trump, I think, deserves our support. And I think we're getting a very impressive first year of action. And I think that by the way, it seems that Biden did surrender the auto pen to Kamala Harris for all those thousands of pardons that were issued in the final days of his administration. That story is coming out as well today. This is Dr. Jerome Corsi. Thank you for joining us this week on CorsiNation.com. In the end, God always wins. God's going to win here too. And I encourage everybody in the spirit of 2 Chronicles 7:14 to get down on our knees and ask God's forgiveness. We need to repent for letting the country and the world get to this state. We need to bring God back into our schools. We need to close the abortion clinics. We need to return to traditional values and hold families together. Far too many divorces going on, including my divorce. My wife had an affair and decided that she didn't want to continue our 32-year marriage after the Mueller investigation. And that trial will be held at the end of September. No compromise was possible. Her idea was, I get nothing, she gets everything, after 32 years of marriage. Dr. Jerome Corsi, thank you for joining us. We'll be back again Monday. God bless.